So 3 years ago, we had on our curriculum review cycle, humanities in the elementary school. So as we always do, we took the teachers into meeting rooms and we had them give feedback on the current curriculum that we had, and they told us things like, we want to see more content. They told us things like, we only have about 40 minutes a week to actually teach humanities. And so these were kind of tensions that we were discovering with the current setup that we had. We looked at peer schools, and a lot of them were focused on inquiry-based humanities curriculum, and we felt somewhat uncomfortable with that, given the fact that 70% of our students are MLL students. So we felt like we wanted to provide more content, a shared content that they would understand before they could go off and do inquiry. And at the same time, we had, like many schools, developed a DEIJ committee. And we were, considering all the implications of equity and inclusion in our schools. And we were also changing our mission statement. And our new mission statement promises our stakeholders that we will create curious learners and critical thinkers to become global citizens. And so, what better territory to do that than through our humanities curriculum. There was a lot of uncertainty and and challenges to make all of those things happen. And at that time we had Dr. DeRosa, who was working at our school as a learning support teacher. And so she already had great sensitivity to making curriculum accessible to students who struggle. And we also had Dr. DeRosa, who was a kind of leading player on our DEIJ committee. So she was really well placed to support us in developing a curriculum, because what we also found was that teachers, wonderful as they are, certainly don't have the time to write curriculum. So Dr. DeRosa and myself, we got together and we looked around for different options and curriculum, and we came across core knowledge, and we chose that as our base. And then we gave teachers opportunities to look through their kind of grade level and pick units that they thought would be interesting and relevant for them and for their students. And then we took a step back, the two of us, and tried to make a chronological, meaningful scope and sequence that was also meaningful for our local context, right? We're in Milan, so we wanted to be able to study the Renaissance and medieval Europe and those kinds of things. So we tweaked it and got it how we wanted it to be. Core knowledge, wonderful as it is, we felt that there were opportunities for more equity. Did just before the winter break is the Renaissance in grade 5, and we actually, because obviously we're in Milan, we took our students to the Ambrosiana Museum, where the students saw a study by Raphael of the School of Athens, and we had a guide who showed the students this beautiful fresco or sketch of a fresco. It's massive, and one of our students pointed out a figure in a turban who is Ibn Rushd. And the guide, the art historian guide, had no clue about who this person was. And she was shocked that a 10-year-old student would, point that out and talk about his contributions to the Renaissance. So that for me was really like a milestone in what we're doing, that we can actually have students who, because of the way we're teaching this, and as I said, the students are kind of building this shared knowledge. We're being very careful and intentional about what they're learning. The challenges, I think, in the actual curriculum design is finding the right people to take on that role. It was great to have the learning support teacher voices in there so that we were making the curriculum accessible and really being intentional about that. It was also important to have somebody from the DEIJ committee or more than one person to kind of lend their voices to the whole process. You just need that kind of uninterrupted time to do it. You also have to shore up teachers' knowledge, because this was like a revolution for us. And so it was a constant process of us developing curriculum and then finding meeting times where we could demonstrate what we were doing doing. Teachers could be put in the shoes of being a student, try it out, and try and understand it, then give their feedback, and then it's like a very iterative process. So that was important that we had the teachers involved. And then we were very intentional about only focusing on grades 3 through 5 this year. So we're only implementing grades 3 through 5 this year, and then next year we'll begin with K through 2. One of the things we wanted students to have is a field journal where they're actually, writing with their hands. They are building this document of learning. How the teachers wanted the students to format their pages, but they really are becoming beautiful documents of the learning that they're doing along the way. So we're pretty happy about that, and there's a whole new energy that's sort of like in the hallways, in the classrooms, that the teachers are actually excited about this new content. And I think that they do feel supported, and also they feel free that they can give feedback to us. And it's just wonderful to hear students talking about content and demonstrating their knowledge to themselves, to each other, to the teachers, even to people at museums. I think we know it's an iterative process, and we know that at the end of each unit, there has to be a feedback cycle so that our teachers can tell us where we need to improve. And the amazing thing is that humanities is now taught every single day in grades 3 through 5. We have many different examples of exploring humanities in their grade levels.